My name is Emma Hayes, and everything changed on a freezing November night. I was sitting alone in my apartment in Newark when my phone rang. The hospital's number flashed on the screen. I felt my stomach twist even before I answered. A soft but urgent voice spoke on the other end. "Emma, this is Nurse Rachel. You should come. Your mom's condition worsened." My heart dropped. For the past week, my older brother Daniel kept telling me, "Mom's stable, no need to drive all the way here, work on your projects, I'll update you." But clearly, that was a lie. I grabbed my keys, threw on my coat, and rushed out into the bitter cold. The 40-minute drive to St. Mary's Hospital felt endless. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel, not from the cold, but from fear. Fear that I might be too late. When I finally parked and ran toward the entrance, I saw him, Daniel, standing near the reception desk with his arms folded, expression blank, eyes strangely cold. The moment he saw me, he stepped forward and held out a hand, blocking my path. "Emma, you can't go in." I stared at him, confused and breathless. "What do you mean I can't go in? Mom needs me." Daniel shook his head slowly. "The doctor said no more visitors. She's resting. You'll stress her out." That made no sense. Mom always asked for me. Even on her good days, she'd say, "Emma, promise you'll be here when I need you most." So why was he trying to keep me away? I stepped to the side, trying to move past him, but he grabbed my arm, squeezing harder than necessary. I said no. His voice wasn't brotherly. It was commanding, controlling. My heartbeat raced. Something wasn't right. Something was very wrong. I opened my mouth to argue when Nurse Rachel suddenly appeared behind the reception counter. Her eyes widened when she saw me. "Emma? Thank God you're here." Daniel's jaw tightened. "I told her the doctor restricted visitors." He snapped. Rachel frowned. "No, he didn't. Her mother has been asking for Emma all evening." Daniel shot her a look, one that carried warning, even anger. Rachel ignored him and walked toward me. "Come with me. Your mom has been waiting." Daniel stepped forward again, but Rachel held up a firm hand. "Enough, Daniel. You can't keep her away." "Keep me away? Why would he want to?" As Rachel guided me down the long hallway, she lowered her voice. "I don't understand why your brother keeps insisting you shouldn't be called. Your mom has been asking for you repeatedly." A cold fear crept up my spine. He said she was stable all week. Rachel shook her head. "No, she declined 3 days ago. We told Daniel to notify you immediately." My chest tightened painfully. My brother had lied for 3 entire days. Why? When we reached Mom's room, Rachel paused before opening the door and placed a warm hand on my arm. "She's weak, Emma, but she's conscious." I nodded, swallowing hard. The door opened. The sight of my mother hit me like a punch. Her once bright, beautiful face was pale, her breathing uneven. Machines beeped softly around her. But the moment her eyes landed on me, they lit up. "Em," she whispered. Tears blurred my vision as I rushed to her side. "Mom, I'm here. I'm right here." Her hand trembled as she reached for mine. "I thought you wouldn't come." "Why would you think that?" She glanced toward the door, fear trembling in her eyes. "Daniel told me you were too busy." My heart cracked in two. "That was a lie, Mom. I would have come immediately." Tears escaped her eyes. "I knew it. I knew my Emma wouldn't abandon me." I gently brushed her hair back and kissed her forehead. For a moment, everything was quiet, peaceful. Then she whispered something that made my blood run cold. "Emma, there's something I need to tell you before it's too late." I leaned closer. Mom struggled to breathe as she spoke. "Your father didn't die the way Daniel told you." I froze. "My father died when I was 14. Daniel told me it was a heart attack. Quick, sudden." Mom's voice trembled. "It wasn't sudden, and it wasn't natural." My throat tightened. "Mom, what are you saying?" But before she could answer, Daniel stormed into the room. "Emma, stop. She's delirious. She shouldn't be talking." Mom flinched at his voice. Actual fear in her eyes. I stood up slowly. "Daniel, what are you hiding?" He glared at me, jaw clenched. "Nothing. Get out. You're upsetting her." Mom squeezed my hand with surprising strength. "Don't go, Emma, please." Rachel suddenly appeared behind Daniel. "Daniel, step outside right now." He opened his mouth to argue, but she cut him off. "If you don't leave, I'll call security." He shot me a hateful look before storming out, slamming the door behind him. Mom began to cry softly. "You have to listen, Emma. Your life depends on it." My hand shook. "Mom, please, tell me everything." She opened her mouth, and then her monitors spiked. A shrill alarm filled the room. Mom gasped at her chest. "Mom!" Rachel rushed forward. "Emma, step back. She's crashing." I staggered back, heart hammering, tears streaming down my face. Nurses poured in. A doctor pushed past me. All I could do was stand in the corner of the room, watching, trembling, helpless. As they fought to save my mother, through the chaos, Mom's eyes found mine one last time. And with her final breath, she whispered, "Your father didn't trust Daniel." Then her hand fell limp, and the monitor went flat. Everything inside me shattered. I dropped to my knees, my hands covering my mouth, sobs shaking my body. Rachel rushed to me, wrapping her arms around me. "Emma, I'm so sorry." I could barely breathe. My mother, my best friend, was gone. But the agony in my chest wasn't just grief. It was fear, confusion, rage. Her last sentence echoed in my mind like a warning. Your father didn't trust Daniel. Why? What had he done? What was he hiding? As they covered my mother's body, I wiped my face and stood up. My knees were shaking, but my resolve was burning. I stepped out of the room. Daniel was standing at the end of the hallway, leaning against the wall, arms crossed. When he saw me, he didn't look sad or heartbroken. He looked irritated, like my presence inconvenienced him. Without emotion, he asked, "Is she gone?" I stared at him, horrified. No tears, no grief, just impatience. Something inside me snapped. "What did you do, Daniel?" He darkened. "Don't start." I stepped closer. "Mom was scared of you. Why?" He jaw tightened. "You know how she gets when she's sick. She wasn't thinking straight." I shook my head. "She wasn't delirious. She was warning me." He leaned in close, his voice low and threatening. "Drop it, Emma. Mom is gone. Move on." "Move on?" I glared at him. "I'm not dropping anything." He smirked, an actual smirk, before walking past me. Something had happened in this family. Something deep. Something dark. And Mom tried to tell me before she died. Rachel placed a hand on my shoulder. "Emma, there's something you should know." I turned to her, desperate. "Please, tell me." She hesitated, then whispered, "Your mother left something for you, and she didn't want Daniel anywhere near it." Nurse had just told me, my mother, my dying mother, had begged to see me, and Daniel blocked it. Why? Why would he be so cruel? I followed Nurse Harper down a quiet, dim hallway. The faint beeping of machines echoed like a reminder of time slipping away, time I had already lost. She led me into a small counseling room and closed the door gently behind us. "Sit, please," she said softly. I sat, though my heart felt like it was thrashing inside my chest. Nurse Harper folded her hands. "I need you to know what happened the night she passed." I swallowed hard. "Go on." She took a slow breath. "Your mother was conscious most of the night. She kept asking why you weren't there. She said she had something she needed to tell you, personally." My throat tightened. "Daniel told us," she continued, "that you refused to come. He said you didn't care." I felt the air leave my lungs. "He said what?" She lifted a calming hand. "We couldn't force him to leave or let you in. He said you had agreed he would be the only visitor." "That's a lie. A complete lie." She nodded sadly. "I knew something felt off. Your mother clearly loved you deeply. But we couldn't override his authority. He had the medical proxy." That hit me like a punch to the stomach. Daniel had the legal right, and he used it to keep me out. Nurse Harper reached into her pocket and slowly pulled out a folded piece of paper. My hands trembled. "What's that?" "She wrote this around 3:12 a.m. She insisted I try to give it to you if Daniel ever allowed you back." She placed it gently in my hand. A shaky breath escaped me. "Thank you." "I'm truly sorry," she said, her eyes warm with empathy. "She wanted peace between you two. She thought if she left you this message, maybe it would help you heal." I didn't feel healing. I felt something darker. But I nodded, pocketed the letter, and left. I didn't open it immediately. I couldn't. I walked out into the cold night air, sat in my car, and forced myself to steady my breathing. The parking lot was empty and silent. Finally, with hands still shaking, I unfolded the note. The handwriting was weak, shaky, but unmistakably Mom's. "My sweet Emily, if you're reading this, I didn't get to say what I needed to. You deserved better than what I gave you. I protected the wrong child for too long. Daniel didn't want you here because he knows the truth. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. Please forgive me. I love you. Always. Mom." I froze. Protected the wrong child? Daniel knows the truth? What truth? My breath uneven, I read the letter again and again, hoping the meaning would magically reveal itself. But it didn't. There was only one person who had the answers. Daniel. And I wasn't waiting another second. By the time I reached Daniel's house, adrenaline was burning through my veins. I didn't even knock. I pounded on the door. After a few seconds, Daniel opened it, eyes widening in surprise. "Emily, what the hell?" I shoved past him and entered his living room. "You lied to me." He tightened his jaw. "About what?" "Everything." He scoffed. "You're overreacting." I stepped toward him. "You told the hospital I refused to see Mom." Daniel's face darkened. "You weren't supposed to be there." "She asked for me." He crossed his arms defensively. "You wouldn't have handled it well. You're too emotional." "That wasn't your decision to make," I shouted. His voice rose to match mine. "Yes, it was. I had the proxy." I stared at him, cold, unapologetic, almost proud. "You robbed me of her final moments. Why?" Daniel hesitated for the first time. And then he looked away. That was all the confirmation I needed. "There's more," I said, pulling the letter from my pocket. "Mom said you knew the truth." "What truth?" He swallowed. "Emily, don't start this." "What truth, Daniel?"
He exhaled sharply, shoulders slumping as if the weight finally crushed him. "Fine," he muttered. "You want it? Here it is." He looked up, eyes hollow. "Mom wasn't your biological mother." The world fell silent. My ears rang. My knees felt weak. I stared at him, numb. That can't be," he said coldly. "She adopted you when you were 2. Dad wanted to tell you, but Mom thought you couldn't handle it." My throat cracked. "So you kept me from her, on her deathbed, because of that?" Daniel didn't answer. He didn't need to. The truth was written all over his face. I backed away slowly. "You hated me," I whispered. Daniel didn't deny it. He just looked relieved, as if finally confessing eased his guilt. "I didn't hate you," he said. "I just didn't think you were really part of the family." My chest tightened with pain so deep that it was almost physical. "And Mom?" I whispered. "She loved me." He shrugged. "Maybe, but she didn't want you to know the truth." "No, you didn't want me to know." I could feel tears spilling over. I didn't even wipe them. "You didn't want to share Mom. You didn't want to share anything." Daniel stayed silent. And then something clicked in my mind. "Wait," I said quietly. "Mom said she protected the wrong child?" Daniel's face paled. "What did you do, Daniel?" He stepped backwards. "Emily, leave." "No." I stepped forward. "What did you do?" His breathing quickened. "Daniel?" He suddenly shouted, "I said leave!" But I didn't. I pulled out my phone and hit record. "Tell me what you're hiding." Daniel's eyes widened. "You wouldn't." "I already did." His jaw clenched. His pupils shrank. And then he grabbed the phone from my hand and threw it across the room. It hit the wall and shattered. "Stop this!" he yelled. My heart hammered in my chest. "What are you so afraid of?" Daniel looked at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw fear in his eyes. Real, bone-deep fear. "Daniel, what did you do to Mom?" His lips trembled. "She died naturally," he quickly said. "She was in pain." "Tell me the truth." He shook his head violently. "Emily, I swear you don't understand." I stepped toward him. "Tell me." His voice cracked. "She wasn't supposed to go that soon." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" He squeezed his eyes shut. I told the doctors not to resuscitate her." I stopped breathing. "You what?" He opened his eyes slowly, voice small. "I signed a do not resuscitate order." My legs nearly gave out. "You killed her!" He yelled. "She was suffering. She was in pain. She wanted peace." I shook my head in disbelief. "She wanted to see me." He swallowed. I couldn't let that happen. I left the house in silence, my mind shattered. By morning, I had spoken to the hospital director, a medical attorney, and the police. Daniel's forged DNR order was illegal. The nurse confirmed everything she witnessed. By evening, Daniel was taken in for questioning. I sat alone on my couch, Mom's letter in my hands, tears silently falling. Not because Daniel was arrested, not because of the lies, but because of what my mother wrote. I protected the wrong child. Maybe she finally realized the truth. Maybe she regretted giving Daniel the control he used to destroy everything. But one thing was certain. I wasn't going to let her final message die. I would tell her story. I would tell my story. And Daniel would finally face the consequences he had avoided his entire life. The end.